make up some topic here. All right, I'll say hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today our discussion is NEY MELLO and me, Glenn Flaherty, and we're going to talk about the current state of music and what expectations should be regarding making a living at it. So earlier, when we were talking, you were talking about these articles you were reading online. Tell me more about that, if you can recap.
Well, the point being that how can one hope to or maybe expect to make a living in music, correct? Mm-hmm. First of all, making a living in music is not something that is for everybody. In nature, statistically, artists, scientists are very, very small part of the population. You might say, well, why is that? Because it requires so much. It really requires an enormous amount of persistence, perseverance, natural ability, and the word I would use is really devotion. There is no other way. So that cuts out 99% of the population because it just requires too much. So it's not like a career that you can sort of make a living at it very easily. It's not easy. It's in fact extremely difficult. So there is no sense that one should be entitled even to make a living at it.
So it's an interesting position to be in too, because so many people think because I have access to the tools of making music, therefore I am a musician and my art is equal to anyone else's, because art can't be judged. But that's not the fact.
That's a very true point, Glenn. What an artist does is a bit peculiar. You do something that you feel drawn and compelled to do because you can't be happy. Happy meaning your life has no meaning if you don't do it. That is really at the root of it. So, but there is no sense that you're entitled to receive money for that, to receive attention for that, mm-hmm. to receive acclaim and fame. That's not why artists do things.
Yeah. And that's a big issue right now with the changing landscape about like the 99-cent mm-hmm. download, which mm-hmm. is what we were talking about earlier mm-hmm. when I mentioned Vince Gill. Vince Gill is a famous guitarist in country music, and he was talking about how he doesn't understand the modern landscape because his song that he's worked at, that he says he uses to speak to the world, is 99 cents, the same price it was in 1960. And today, that's valued the same as some arbitrary app you can buy for the phone that just, makes mouse noises or whatever,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So who and some might say, the app is more useful than mm-hmm. his song, right?
Sure, and it may be for some applications.
Yeah. So, one, in the modern era, should a person still think they're entitled to make money off of their creation? Yes, but whether it sells or not has less to do, I think, with entitlement, and in some cases not even with your talent ability, although talent puts the odds on your favor. It has to do with being fashionable.
Yes. The fashionable is quite, and by that we mean, what are people inclined to seek as an experience? That's what we mean by fashionable. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's just what are people into? What experiences do they want from the realm of the arts? You made actually another point before that, which was about expecting to I think make money out of this, or the quality of it is what will dictate. The quality and the fact that is it fashionable will dictate that you receive money for it, or payment, or attention, and the fashion you can't help. The fashion is what people are into, but the only thing that you can do is to do it truthfully by expressing what, basically, like a good friend of mine told me once, is very, very one of the top 3 guitarists in the world, Aldo Meola. I said, well, what turns you on? It has to be what you want, what makes you feel amazing.
Can't be a trend follower.
Yeah, you can't be a trend follower unless the trend happens to coincide at the time with what you really want to do, which sometimes happens. So if you feel amazing when you're doing that, to the point that you can't live well if you don't do it, then your music will find its audience, as they say, because it has that quality. And that's what people want. They want to feel amazing. That's what we all want when we see our idols and our favorite artists. They make us feel really, really amazing because they're feeling that way. But to feel that way, that's where it takes an enormous amount of devotion on your part to do what it takes, because it's not easy. It's not something that you can buy. It's not something that is predicated on following formulas, on affording equipment. It has, although you need equipment, but it's not something you can buy. There's been recently in the last, hope this is waning, I hope, a sense that people want to be rock stars. Now, this is an absurdity, because rock star is not a career. It's not like owning a gas station, like I like to say, or being a doctor or a banker. Rock star is a byproduct of doing something else. You know, it's like the doctor has a Ferrari. So I want to be a Ferrari owner. Well, you need to do other things to afford a Ferrari, you know? Or I want to be muscular. Well, you have to do things for that. Those are byproducts.
The other thing too with that is you achieve, you know, Ferrari ownership through hard work, passion, dedication, and moreover perseverance.
Exactly.
To follow through as well.
Yes.
So as far as making a living for the musician, the expectation you're going to make your money from sales, throw that out the window. Don't even depend on that. And I would say even nowadays, you really think of the song as your promotion. That's your calling card to have them come to your show, you know, where you're going to make the real money. You know, if you're playing out and stuff like that, you're going to make some money selling it. Maybe you're the lucky ones to sell a lot. But a big part of not feeling a sense of failure over that is mitigating expectations.
Yes, there is. It's very interesting what you just said, Glenn. When I started, I was like many people. I was doing what I liked, and I wasn't very good at it. So people were telling me, like, you guys, I was in this band, you know, and they said, you guys suck. And we actually did suck in many respects, but we had something that didn't suck. We actually had the drive, the enthusiasm, the love for it, which took us to the point where we started to conquer the technical aspects of it. And then we didn't suck anymore. We became great. We became to the point that we were in newspapers. I started collaborating with very, very prominent names back when I was in Brazil. But you have to do it. It's not like you can depend on people's opinions and or doing something, like I said, that is trendy, in order to attract attention, and in order to, you can't calculate it to a market demographic. That's not how it's done. It's done, but it's never successful. You know, it's very temporarily successful, but it doesn't guarantee you, or it doesn't support a lifetime of a career. Those kinds of things don't. But if you do what you love, you will have a career for life, because there's enough people who are very much seeking true experiences of truth in human expression, which is the art. And those will come to you, they will become your fans and all that. But it doesn't mean that you're going to be a superstar, a rock star. The rock star happened to be a rock star because what they did was, as you said, fashionable at the time. It resonated with the needs, the human needs of of a great part of the population at the time. And so having a ton of people come, each pays a little bit of money, makes a lot of money, and publicity is commensurate with that, attention is commensurate with that, and you become a rock star. But to do that, you had to do what everyone that is an artist does. And by luck means what you love to do happens to be fashionable at a given time. It's not better or worse. It's just people want that kind of thing, and you're like, hey, I'm here. I love. So you're true to it. You're doing the real deal for the right reasons, and you're lucky to be in a place where that's what they crave at the time. You know, the person who does amazing stuff, but it's not quite what people are into, will not be a rock star, but they can still have a great career, make a living, because there's enough people interested in variety.
Yeah,
you know?
and you have to start. You can't start with the ideas of grandeur. You have to start realistically and work your way up and earn your stripes. Now, that's not to say, okay, because I'm not going to make a vast fortune selling my music, I shouldn't put money into it. Like a lot of people are just recording at home on their cell phones or whatever they're doing now. Respect what you're doing. Treat it with the dignity that you feel it deserves. Spend the money, make a good recording. That's your calling card, Like, you would never see Monet or whomever, Titian or whatever, say, this is good enough. People will get the idea that I'm a good artist. You know, then they'll pay me. Do it for real. You still have to put the time in.
Yeah, the for real that you mentioned is the key. For real, because people want real. You can't fool audiences in the long run. It's like Lincoln said, you can fool them a little bit of people for a little bit of the time, but you can't fool everybody all the time. So if you want a long career, you have to be able to do it for real, because what's real persists through time. Even if it's not fashionable, it's still there and it's still important. It may come back into fashion later as things cyclically come back, slightly changed, etc. But what is real, and what is it that we're saying when we use the term real? It's what you feel, that what makes you feel great. For the pure bliss and sensation of feeling great. It's not what you think is going to sell a lot. It's not what you think a certain demographic wants. It's not what you think you should do because it's fashionable.
And at that point, it's not art.
Yeah, that's not art. That doesn't, because all those reasons don't convey what people want. People don't want what you're thinking about. They don't want, because that's calculated. It's you wanting something from them. You want the people to give you stuff. They don't want to give you anything. They want you. That's why they're paying you to give them what they want. So when you think in terms of I want this from, I want their attention, I want that, you're in a position that you lack richness, and they're not going to pay for something that's worthless. That's worthless to them.
And if it's lacking in richness and it's not timeless. I mean, if you're really going to capture that human moment, that spirit, whatever you're trying to convey, that a majority of the time can really be a timeless quality. But if you're just grabbing and you're trying to be fashionable or trying to chase what's going on or trying to do this because you think the market wants it, or I can play more in these big cities if I just soften my sound.
Exactly.
Then you've just diluted. You're like everyone else.
Exactly.
You're just going to go away with when the water washes.
That's true. That's done, and an artist will not do that because that's not why they're doing it. A true artist will not do that. There are situations in which a true artist will adapt to the terrain, but he or she will never do this sort of changing course and not do art. They will do art. They might do instead of let's say.
And what I was going to say is, at that point, you're not an artist. And not to say you should be on some pedestal because you decided to follow through on a vision, but people give you money because you are doing what they're not capable of doing. You're following through the vision and taking that chance. If you're just kicking out the stuff that everyone else is doing, that's not art. That's just a job like anything else. So go put on a tie and file papers. Exactly.
Yeah. And be productive doing that and contribute to humanity by filing papers, which is very necessary. Doing this other stuff, nobody wants that. Right. I mean, really.
Doing background music is not nearly as important as filing papers and giving order. But what's even more important is staying true to a vision and pushing us that next step,
Exactly. And when you say background music, it's music that is not felt, and it's sort of, you put it's designed to not have attention because it doesn't have the element that draws attention in the first place. It becomes like
Furniture.
like a bit like a very generic furniture that doesn't have any art in it, that it's not beautiful to look at, that it's just minimally
Something you put your coffee on.
right. Exactly.
The coffee's more interesting.
Yeah, and it's even less than that, because what you say, when you have something you need something to put your coffee on. Art that's not felt, you don't even need it, because there's no need for it. There's enough beauty in nature that you don't even need
You
that.
could open the window.
Yeah, open the window and look at that, as the birds are doing way cooler stuff. You know?
Totally.
You know. So
Totally.
yeah.
Well, that's good. So basically what we can take away from here is the first step is realizing you're not owed anything. Okay, drop the ego.
Yes.
Part two is managing your expectations.
Yeah, basically don't have any. I mean, do what you love, and if you do it, people will come to you, but your attention should be on that.
Which leads to three, do it for the right reasons.
Right, do it for the right reason.
And I guess number four, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you're not going to feel like it's a failure or not worth your time.
Exactly.
Okay, which comes back to number one, because if you think it's about the money, and why aren't I making the money, you're not doing it the right way.
Exactly. If you do it for the experience, to quote Jimi Hendrix, which is a brilliant mind, everything in life is for the experience. Even the experience of having money or the experience of being destitute, everything is an experience. Our whole civilization is based on the experience and experiments, which comes from the experience. So that's what people want. If you don't give it to them, if you give them these other elements, why should you or I or anybody give the time of day to something that is actually valueless to us?
Right. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Nick. That was great.
Pleasure was fantastic.
And it flowed nicely.
Yeah.
Well, that's our first conversation in a series that we're hoping to do. Thanks for giving us your time and talking and watching us talk. And we're going to have a series of topics. We're also going to do lessons. We're going to have a series of lessons, but really the forum is open to many different topics, that involve our passion, which is music, which is why we're doing this. So thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.